Hello and welcome to Coming of Cage, your Nicolas Cage movie review podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Derek, and your other host, Ryan, is right over here with me.
That's right. And we are this week doing episode 83, which is our 82nd Nick Cage movie. It is for a movie called Red Rock West from 1993. Not one that I've really ever heard about before or
No,
knew of.
no, mm-mm. No, I had seen it on our list, because I look at the list a lot, knew nothing about it at
Yeah.
all. But IMDb knows what it's about, so they say upon arriving to a small town, a drifter is mistaken for a hitman. But when the real hitman arrives, complications ensue.
Shenanigans.
That's fair.
It is rated a 7 out of 10 on IMDb, which is a fairly high rating in terms of Nick Cage movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a Metacritic score that was even higher somewhere. So supposedly people really like this one.
Yeah.
It co-stars Dennis Hopper and Lara Flynn Boyle, as well as JT Walsh. Those are kind of the big four in the movie. Um, Dennis Hopper was with Nicolas Cage in Rumblefish, which we talked about on episode 79 of the show, so not too long ago. Talked
The
about
guy
that.
that directed this mostly does TV work, it seems like these days. Lots
John
of
Dahl and Rick Dahl
lots
wrote
of
it.
popular shows though. Poker Face, Evil, Yellowstone, The
Hmm,
Walking Dead, The Good Doctor, all shows that are pretty popular. So
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah,
So if you
yeah.
haven't listened to this podcast before, the way this usually works is that I take notes throughout the movie, just kind of keep track of what's going on, and we kind of go through them and discuss them in chronological order of when they happened in the movie, not necessarily chronological order to the movie, if that makes sense. So yeah, I guess we have to start at the beginning. That's the best place to start.
I mean, it's a place to start.
So right away, we get Nicolas Cage on the side of the road in his busted up Cadillac Eldorado, I believe it was, um, getting dressed. Seems to be waking up in the car on the side of this road and getting dressed.
Hmm, hmm.
And right out of the gate, they establish that he's got a bad knee.
Right. Yeah,
They
almost
show him putting a
immediately.
knee brace on,
Hmm.
and you get your first glimpse of the USMC tattoo on his arm. So immediately you know he's former military, which is a bingo spot on our Keijo bingo card. So
Nice eyes. So the version of this movie I watched is from the Internet Archives, which does not have the highest resolution version of the film that exists, I imagine. So I could see that there was a tattoo that was probably military, but I didn't know yet what it was.
yeah, there is a shot where it like kind of slowly pans up his arm, like in this first montage, and that kind of that's where because before that I was like, does that say USMC? Because
Mm,
it's not your typical like USMC. Usually you see like some sort of a skull or like something aggressive. But this one wasn't anything super aggressive, if I remember right. It was just some sort of design with USMC in the front. Um, but yeah, so that right away gave us a bingo card spot. Um, we get to see him shirtless shaving, and doing one-armed push-ups in the middle of the road.
yeah, he's really doing them too.
Yeah, they want to make sure they got that in there and not it
Mhm.
wasn't a stunt double.
Yeah, I mean, so this came out in 1993, so he would have been basically 30 when this was shot. He was in pretty good shape.
Yeah, kind of his peak time
Hmm.
physically, other than like the one standout Ghost Rider, later on.
Yeah, right.
So we're kind of getting the idea from this intro that he's not the most successful person, that he is having some troubles in his life. He drives to this job site to where his friend recommended him for a job, and he goes in and interviews, and he mentions that he has a messed up leg, and they do not hire him because of that. And so he hears them talking about it outside of where he did the interview, and he lights up a cigarette and walks away.
And it's important to note, so this all takes place in Wyoming. He's from Texas, so he drove whatever 12, 1,300 miles, whatever it was, for this job.
Yeah.
He's got $5 to his name and now no job.
Yeah, and so when he leaves, he has to go to the gas station because he's out of gas. So he walks into this like it looks abandoned gas station. He yells like 20 times and nobody responds. And when he walks to look behind the counter, he sees like a wad of bills just sticking out, even though there's like a cash register up there. And so
They're
he's
like sticking
tempted,
out of a cash box, which seems to defeat the purpose of the
or the
cash
cash
box.
box, yeah.
But yeah,
Um, but they make it a point to show he thinks about it, but he doesn't take them. So it's trying to establish at this point in the movie that he is a good person.
it's actually the second time because in the first time, his buddy's like, "Why did you tell him about the leg?" And he's like, "Well, they would have found out eventually. It's not. I didn't want to be dishonest, right?" So he's honest and he's trustworthy, even when he's having a hard time.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, that is completely out the window by the end of this movie. And it's not because he gets ruined, it's because they just stop caring that he's a good
They,
person.
just, but again, I think this is another prime example of everybody else is just worse, and so he
I
still looks like
guess.
the protagonist. He still looks like the hero of the movie by comparison.
Yeah, so like at this point, they're trying to really heavy-handedly establish he's a good person. We've already had two instances of him doing something good. So he goes into this bar in the next somebody tells the gas station guy shows up and is like, oh, if you're looking for work you should go to Red Rock, they're down there, they got jobs and somebody down there can help you. And so he goes there and he goes into this bar and the bartender sees the Texas plate and is like, oh, you're the guy that I've been waiting for this job, right? And despite being a good person, he immediately lies
Hmm.
and says, yes, I'm the guy. And so this bar owner takes him to the back to talk to him. And apparently the bar owner was expecting a hitman from Texas named Lyle, and he believes that this is Lyle. Um,
Right, right, right. So this is Wayne Brown. He owns the bar. He's played by J.T. Walsh. So that's the introduction of his character. And yeah, he wants Nick to kill his wife, played by
that
Lara Flynn Boyle.
that old yarn.
Uh-huh. She's cheating on him with this like farmhand guy.
Yeah, get the guy
He's
that gives her like stable or like horse riding lessons or something like
right.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Um,
so we're led to think.
yeah. And so he goes to this woman's house with a gun and tells her that he's there to kill her. He doesn't really want to, but it's a lot of money.
It's $5,000. All right. Now it's 1993. Is $5,000 really enough to be like, yeah, I'd kill a person?
I mean, if you got $5 to your name. Also, keep in mind
I
you're a good guy, a former Marine, and you've already
right.
demonstrated multiple times in the last like 24 hours you're a good person. And then
That's
you
my
immediately
point.
throw that out the window.
Right. He won't lie about a knee condition to get a good job because this is like an oil digging type thing. Right. So he won't do that. And he won't steal some petty cash from a gas station. Right. But 5 grand to kill a person he doesn't know
And
seems
also
reasonable.
lying to get a job.
Well, I could kind of get past that because at the moment he probably thought it was like to work behind the bar or something
Well,
and he
he
was
says that
desperate.
later in the
Yeah.
movie that's what it was. But still, that doesn't mean, you're going to abandon
Obviously,
your whole character.
obviously that's wrong, but I do get that like he's now in this town literally with zero money, right? And needs something. So I'm a like there's a point of desperation where like lying to get a bar job, I think ethically speaking, there could be a conversation about taking 5 grand to go kill a person. I think that was a little more clear.
Yeah. So, and he tells her that he doesn't want to kill her, but it is what it is. And she's like,
It is
"Oh,
what it is.
my husband, if you go kill him, I'll give you double." And so she gives him another like band of bills. All of the deals in this movie there's no loose cash. It's all bands of, well, until the very end.
Right,
But
right.
everything in this movie is done by bands of bills.
which I
And
think is
despite
supposed to be
that,
5,000
characters are
each.
still shown counting bills that are fresh from this band, like packed by a bank multiple times. But yeah, she gives him another band of bills, and he's like, okay, cool. And so then he just takes the money and writes a letter to the sheriff saying, hey, these people are like trying to hire hitmen to kill each other. You should probably do something about that. And then drives out of town or tries to.
Well, yeah. He stops at the gas station and buys like $100 worth of gas station groceries.
Yeah.
He's very excited about it, but
And the cashier is very annoyed.
then we get our first "You're leaving Red Rock
Yes,
Town"
this sign, just shots of this sign take approximately 8 minutes of the entire movie's total runtime,
because
if I
every
had to
time a
guess.
person is entering or leaving the town, we get a shot of the sign one way or the other.
Right. And
So,
I think even on the DVD for this movie, that is a picture of that sign. If you go
is
on
it really
Amazon and look.
okay? The poster that I've seen is just where it's the three main
Yeah,
characters on
I
the
had to look
cover.
up some reviews on Amazon for a later part of our podcast, but and the DVD cover shown there is a picture of the sign.
Hmm.
So on his way out of town, a guy walks out in the middle of the street, who clearly looks like he's had a car broken down or something, and Nick just plows into him with the car.
I mean, it was dark and raining, and it's a country road with no lights.
Yeah. And
Terrible
instead of
accidents happen.
leaving, because he's such a good guy
Right,
that is
right.
ready to kill people for $5,000, he takes the guy back to the hospital.
Well, at this point, he's also swindled two people out of
Yes.
their money, out of 5,000 apiece, right? Because he's not giving the money back. He clearly is just going to take the money and leave,
Right.
which I guess you
And
could do back then.
before he goes and looks at the guy in the street, he throws the two stacks of bills into his glove box,
Like you do.
like you do. Um, so he takes the guy back to the hospital, and the guy in the hospital is like, you stay here, I'm gonna have to ask you some questions. But instead of just leaving right then when he should have, because like really, who's gonna stop him? The receptionist?
Right, right.
He just stays there
And he fills out
and
paperwork.
fills out paperwork, and then two cops show up, and then the sheriff shows up, who it turns out is also the owner of the bar,
Dun, dun,
also
dun.
the guy that wanted to kill his wife.
Twist number one.
Yeah, and so he sees the guy and he's like, "Oh, don't worry about this, fellas. I'm going to take care of this." And
And like
drives him out to the middle of the field.
one of the two cops is clearly suspicious already.
Yeah,
I don't know, like I don't remember their names. I think maybe it was Jim or Kurt. I don't know. But either way, he was suspicious from the get-go, right? Because he's like, well, why would this dude? Because we find out that the guy who got hit by the car also had been shot twice. Right.
right.
So the cop's like, why would this dude shoot him and then bring him to the hospital? That doesn't make any
I think he
sense.
literally says something like
Yeah,
that.
no, he does.
Yeah,
Yeah. So he's already suspicious. He's the only good cop in the movie,
right.
apparently. But yeah.
Yeah, and so the sheriff's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll take care of this." And he takes him out into a field in the middle of nowhere
Hmm.
and hands him the key to the handcuffs so that when he goes to unlock the handcuffs, the sheriff can shoot him and say he was trying to escape.
Right.
And instead of that, Nick notices what's happening and kicks the dude in the head and manages to unlock the handcuffs and start running away with his bad knee, which comes and goes, I'll say, throughout this movie. Whenever he needs to not have a bad knee, his knee is fine.
I was just gonna say
But
that
whenever it adds suspension to
drama.
a scene, his knee is bad.
Hmm. Hmm. It's a trick knee, really.
Yeah,
But this is where the shenanigans really begin.
yeah. They're kind of shooting back and forth at each other. He stole the guy's gun, but the guy has a rifle and
Hmm.
is shooting at him with a rifle, and Nick's shooting back at him with a pistol. And
Hmm.
keep in mind, he was in the Marines, so he should be a pretty good shot, but doesn't hit him at all.
I
Um,
mean, and at this point, all we know is this guy's the sheriff. You'd think he'd be a pretty decent shot
True,
too.
yeah, and misses him
Also
a
hits
hundred
nobody.
times. Yeah. And he trips and hurts his knee again during the chase.
Hmm.
And so he kind of stumbles off into the like woods and then rolls down a hill, as you do, and rolls out into the middle of a road at the bottom of the hill where Dennis Hopper almost proceeds to run him over with his Cadillac.
It's very much one
I
of those
wonder who
like
sponsored this movie.
I know, right? But it's like 3 inches from his face kind of
Yeah,
thing,
like
you
it
know?
shows the thing stopping like really close to his face. And I will say at the because we like to point this out in all these like 90s and 80s Nick Cage movies that the stunts were really good and really well done. When he's tumbling down that hill, I mean
Oh, yeah.
it's a dude going down that hill full bore.
But I'm giving this movie some shit on some of the story elements, but it's a very well made movie,
Yeah. Even some of the
right?
cinematography is really good. Cinematography
Yeah.
was really a mixed bag. There were some shots that were gorgeous, and then
Yes.
some shots that were like, this is bad.
There were some, maybe it was because there were like tight spaces for them to work in or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe.
But overall, it's a pretty well executed film, as silly as some of it might be.
Yeah. So Dennis Hopper gets out of the car and is like, "Oh, if I hadn't had my brakes done, you would have been nothing but a grease splat in the road." And
Jesus.
as Nick Cage is getting into the car, it kind of pans over the license plate being from Texas, and you're realizing at this point that this is probably Lyle,
Well, yeah,
the
yeah. Texas
hitman,
plates in
showing up.
Wyoming.
Yeah. So
We never do
they're
find out why he's a week late. We never get that answer. I
no.
want to
Well,
know.
hitmen never arrive on time. They're like wizards. They arrive when they're supposed to. Um, So he's there. He sees, or he talks to Nick Cage, and they find out that they were both in the military and
They were both in the Marines, just
the
at different
Marines.
times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and during this time, Nick Cage is tightening up his neck or his knee brace, which heals all the problems with his knee every time he does it.
It just gets loose
Um,
sometimes. That's all.
yeah, it gets loose and then is miraculously better. And as you know, if you've ever had a knee injury, that's really all there is to it. As long as you
Nothing
keep your
else.
knee brace tight, you're good to go.
Hmm.
So Dennis Hopper is like, "Oh, well, guess what? I'm gonna buy you a drink, and then we'll go get your car." And he shows up back to the bar where we get another 5 minute shot of the Red Rock sign. We show up back to the bar, and uh, he's like, "I don't want to go in there." Dennis Hopper's like, "What? My money's no good for you? I can't buy you a drink." And so he's like, "Fine, I'll go in." Once they're in there and he realizes what's going on, he immediately runs to the bathroom, which conveniently has a window.
Well, because what happens is they're drinking at the bar, and Lyle starts asking for this Wayne guy who owns it, and Nick realizes that this is the real hitman.
Yeah, and as Nick kind of peeks through the door and sees what's going on, because the bar owner shows up while he's in the
Hmm.
bathroom, he gets frustrated and punches a light bulb.
Yeah, yeah. He also punches the roof of his car at one point earlier in the film too, which I feel like he's done in other movies.
Probably, but punching the light bulb was interesting because you can see and hear it shatter.
Do you think he punched a real light bulb?
I don't know. It seemed like he did. I mean, I think that he was just winging it. Like,
I
they
wonder if
said
it was
act
on
angry.
purpose.
I don't
Yeah.
know, but it was
Hmm.
an interesting choice. Um, But then he sees what's going on when the bar owner comes back and he needs to get out of here because Lyle is telling him because the sheriff saw him get into this car with Lyle, and so
Right.
he knows Lyle had him in the car.
Hmm.
And so Nick needs to escape. The Lyle's being explained to as to what's going on, and so now they're both going to be looking for Nick. And so they go into the bathroom. The window's open. He clearly climbed out. But they think they think he ran away when really he just climbed on the roof.
Hmm. Clever.
And yeah, so they're looking around for him and can't find him. And eventually Dennis Hopper realizes that he can go up on the roof. But at this point, Nicolas Cage has found a single piece of wood on the roof and a truck. And so he very inconspicuously lays the piece of wood from the roof to the top of this box truck, balance beams across the wood, and the shot is hilarious because you got the bar owner like in the foreground of the frame, and then Nick Cage like trying to not be suspicious, walking across this balance beam like anybody could see it. It wasn't not
Yes.
hidden. I know he thought he was being sneaky, but no.
But the guy is at his truck too. The owner of the truck and a friend of his or whatever are like standing by the driver's side door. And this is a pet peeve of mine. When something is happening like kind of above where characters are and miraculously they just can't, they have no what's the word for peripheral vision but up and down? I don't know what the word is for that. But like just all of a sudden you can't see above eye line as a human
Yeah.
being. Because to your point, he's not like 30 feet up. It's a one-story bar and he's going to the top of this truck. Like it's not, it's like 15 feet and nobody sees it.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I don't know. I know this film was not really a comedy, but that part was hilarious. Um,
Yeah, it is considered a dark comedy according to
yes,
IMDb.
I don't really get that,
I
but
don't either, but
so eventually he lets the driver know in the least surprising way. He starts knocking on the windshield while the guy's driving 60 miles an hour.
on a dark desert highway.
Yeah, cool wind in my hair. He so the guy pulls a gun out on him, of course.
Sure. Sure.
It's not Texas, but still everybody has guns. And the guy agrees to give him a ride. So
That
out of
makes
nowhere,
no
the
sense.
whole scene was like this guy is threatening to kill him, and then
Right.
eventually he's just like, "Okay, I'll give you a ride."
But he still's like, you're lying to me. But let's get going.
Yeah, but let's go.
What the fuck is that?
And so apparently he takes Nick Cage to the woman's house that he was
Yeah.
going to kill.
Uh-huh.
And so he goes in there, he just sneaks in through the window, and she's in the room, and he's like, "Hey, like
I'm back.
there's a guy coming to kill you." And she's like, "I don't believe you." And he's like, "Well, I promise." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And so he's like, "Get dressed, we're going." And so she gets dressed, and there's apparently a Jeep out in the barn or something, and they're gonna take this Jeep. But when he gets in the Jeep, it's like below the E on gas.
That's important to note that at this point, Lyle did show up and Nick hit him in the face with like a
Oh yeah,
statue
yeah.
of an elephant or something. So he's unconscious
He didn't.
at the house.
We do have a bingo card space for melee weapon, but he throws the statue at him, so we didn't get to count it for that, which was
It doesn't count as
unfortunate.
a melee. Well, because it's a
Melee
thrown item.
means hand to hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Okay.
would be a ranged weapon.
You're right. You're right.
Anyway, yeah, so they get into a little bit of a tussle there, and on the way out to the Jeep or whatever, Nick starts pulling all the spark plug wires or something out of the guy's Cadillac.
Yeah, he tore something out of it. I don't know
You
what
couldn't really
piece it
tell because
was,
it was
but
dark, but yeah,
yeah.
has the time to pop the hood and pull like some stuff out and close the hood again.
I don't know why he didn't
Yeah,
just like slash a few tires. Like that takes so much less time.
so they're on E,
Uh-huh.
below E. I mean, it has nothing in it based on the shot.
He's like, what kind of mileage you get on this
Yeah, what kind
thing?
of mileage you get? And then they drive for seemingly a while without an issue.
Uh-huh.
And he starts to put gas in the car, and she's like, "Okay, I'm going to go to the bar over here." Now, keep in mind, they're running away from a hired hitman,
And who was hired by a sheriff.
and she thinks it's a good idea to go to the bar. And he's like, is this a good idea?" And she's like, "It's just one drink." And he's like, "Oh, okay." Well, then he goes and finds her, and they proceed to spend hours there to where she's blasted, completely drunk. I don't think he is really at this point, but
He's definitely intoxicated, but she seems way more so.
right. So they decide not to drive, which is responsible, and
Right, right.
get a hotel room.
Safety first,
There's a
folks.
hotel directly next to this bar.
A comfort inn, as the movie tells
Yes,
us several times.
yes, sponsored by Cadillac and Comfort Inn. So they get a room, and she's like really coming on to him. And apparently when she was getting dressed, she put on lingerie underneath the clothes she was wearing just in case.
Well, she was wearing a robe when we bump into her, so maybe that's what was under the robe, and we just didn't know that, but that seems unlikely.
It seems unlikely, yeah. And so they bone, and
Like
she,
like you do.
the next morning, they have a conversation, and she's ready to move to Mexico with him. She loves him so much. She's like obsessed with him at this point. But they have to go back to Red Rock to get money for Mexico. which is apparently the place they're going now because he mentioned Mexico once.
Keeping in mind, they're in Wyoming.
Yeah. And apparently she says that her husband has a bunch of money in a safe at the bar, and so she just needs to go get that.
Well, because the story that we're told at this point is that her parents died and she inherited a bunch of money, which he's trying to steal from her.
Yeah. So they go back to Red Rock, and
Again.
yes, and pop open the safe and steal a bunch of money. And when they do that, they're really sloppy and leave a bunch of paperwork just laying outside of the safe. And so the guy instantly sees the paperwork and is like, what the actual fuck? And realizes what happened. But they're hiding in the closet at this time.
Hmm.
And it turns out that there's going to be a big confession here while they're sitting in this closet. And Dennis Hopper shows up, and then apparently they were bank robbers, and her and uh the sheriff were bank robbers, and somehow he came to here and got voted to be sheriff, and they have $500,000 hidden somewhere because there's only like 10,000 in the safe.
Right. Yeah, they're wanted by
Um,
the FBI.
yeah, they're wanted by the FBI, and the FBI is on their way. This confession happens because the guy that's an actual good cop finds this stuff out, does some digging, and finds this out. Um,
Now, to be fair, he doesn't really do that much digging. That wanted poster is on the body of the dude who had been shot earlier.
right, conveniently.
So, yeah. So to be fair, it's not like he was like going through like old newspapers or whatever in the archives and stumbled across something.
Yeah,
So,
so they arrest him,
right. Yeah.
and the other two, Nick and his obsessive girlfriend, are
Suzanne
trying to leave, and Dennis Hopper shows up, as one does.
hits Nick right in the face.
It hits Nick in the face, knocks him out, ties up the girl, and when he wakes up, he's like, so she tells me that there's $500,000 somewhere. And he's like, yeah, I guess that's what she told me too. And he's like, okay, well, we're gonna go get it. And she's like, well, only my husband knows where it's at, and he's in jail, so you'll never get him. And so he goes and sets fire to a building.
Hmm.
And while he's in there setting the fire, Nick gets a Swiss Army knife out of his back pocket, which is a weird place to keep a Swiss Army knife because you're
It's
going to be
on
sitting
it,
on it,
it's on her keychain and he didn't know that
and her keychain is in his back pocket.
because he drove the Jeep. So he
Right,
put the keys in his back
but
pocket.
who keeps keys in their back pocket is
Oh
my
yeah, no,
point.
that's weird. Yeah, that's
Especially with a Swiss Army knife on it.
I mean someone who might get
It's a
stuck
nitpick. It's a
with
nitpick, but
yeah,
yeah, it's a weird spot
a
for a
nick pick,
knife.
a nick pick.
Yeah. And he's able to cut through the bindings almost immediately. Whereas as the movie goes on, she has this knife for approximately 16 hours and cannot get through these bindings.
Well, let's not forget she couldn't open the safe either. He had to open
True.
the
He had to
safe
do it
for
for.
her.
Well, good thing that a man was there to do
I
things that a
know.
woman can't do,
Like opening
like
safes.
opening a safe, even doing the exact same thing the man did. So yeah, he calls in this fire, and so all the sheriffs or all the police officers leave except for one guy who's covering the phones. And so Dennis Hopper goes in there and immediately shoots him in the head.
Which really upsets our buddy Wayne.
Casual murder. Yeah, because
Yeah,
he knows these guys and likes these guys, I assume.
I guess. Yeah.
But
Again, like we kind of play fast and loose with what good people, bad people are in this movie.
right. So
Lyle's the real bad guy.
he breaks him out of the jail, and as he brings him out, he tells or Nick is getting out of the car and is trying to get the girl out. He's like, "Get back in there, get her back in there." And he's like, "Okay," and sticks her back in there. And then he's like, "You're driving," which Nick is totally okay with. And then there's like a weird high speed chase scene between a Cadillac and a train.
Yeah. So I don't really understand why this is happening. So Lyle basically tells Nick, don't stop for anything. And
Yeah,
this train is coming and they can't beat the train. So he's going to race the train.
Yeah, and jump in front of it. I do want to make a note too that every time Dennis Hopper gets in his car in this last half of the movie, he reaches into the back seat and pulls out a full bottle of presumably whiskey.
Every time. I don't think I noticed it was
Yeah,
multiple
and
times.
literally every time he pulls a brand new bottle out, he must keep a dozen bottles of whiskey in his car at any time. I think he might have a problem.
Poor Lyle.
Yeah. Yeah, so my next note was how many bottles of alcohol does Dennis Hopper keep in his car? The character that he plays, not actual Dennis Hopper. I don't know if he's an alcoholic or not. Um,
Jesus.
so apparently the money is hidden in a cemetery because the sheriff guy is like, just keep driving down this road because Nick picked the right road, apparently. And he's like, just keep driving down this road and I'll tell you when to turn.
It's Wyoming. There's only one road.
There is only one road in
Okay.
Wyoming. That's true. So they drive down this road and he says, okay, turn your headlights off and turn here. And so he does that, and they're like, "Why are we turning our headlights off?" And he's like, "Oh, there's a caretaker who'll be alerted if you turn in there with headlights on because nobody visits these graves apparently."
Not in the middle of the night. I get that.
Okay.
That part was, I mean, it didn't bother me.
And at this point, even through this long drive, the train chase, and everything, it's shown probably 20 times that she's trying to cut through her bindings with a Swiss Army knife.
And keep in mind, it was daytime. It is no longer
It's
daytime.
now nighttime.
So hours have passed.
Presumably late at night because, it's like you said, middle of the night. Um, Yes, and so they go to this box or go to the cemetery where they make Nick dig up a box with chains on it that supposedly is full of $500,000.
Theoretically.
Yeah, and so the sheriff is like, "Okay, well, I'll only open this if you put your gun away because we're partners in this and you promised me half." And so uh, Dennis Hopper's like, sure. He takes the magazine out of the gun and sticks it in his pocket, but sets the gun on the ground. And so, of course, the sheriff knows there's a gun in this thing.
Right.
And also, the bag of $500,000 looks like it has about $8 in it. It's so light and so empty.
Well, later we see more than $8.
Right, but I'm saying when they're carrying it, when he pulls it
Yeah.
out, it looks like there's nothing in it. By the time later on when they're on the train, it looks like it's full of money. But it's crazy. Um, yeah. So at this point, I was watching this with my partner, and she said that she thinks Dennis Hopper is possibly the worst assassin ever on film. And I think that's probably accurate.
I want the backstory for Lyle, right? Like, why is he a week late? Why
Like,
is he
how had he survived this long as a
right?
hitman? Because
Yeah.
he does almost everything you could possibly do as a hitman wrong in this movie.
He's also going all the way to Wyoming for 10 grand
Yes.
when clearly he seems to be doing fine. I don't know why he needs
He's
to go to
got a
Wyoming
brand
for
new
this,
black Cadillac with new
right?
brakes. Yeah.
Dresses all
Um,
snazzy.
yeah. I also want to note that Lara Flynn Boyle looks like she's crying perpetually through the whole last half of this movie.
Mm, that's
I
fair.
don't know why,
Well,
but
she's very upset, Ryan.
right, but like for 45 minutes of runtime, like come on. Anyway, um I think is it Lyle that throws the knife into the sheriff's like throat?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there's like a big fight now, and event, and Lyle throws a knife into the sheriff's throat, and he's still alive for a long time after that. Presumably survives the whole movie.
Yeah.
We don't really know. Um, Nick Cage is getting choked by Lyle with a chain,
Hmm.
and Lyle sees a grave that has like a cupid with a sword on it, some sort of
Yeah.
statue with holding a sword, and apparently this is a real sword because he's like, I'm gonna throw Nick Cage on this sword, and
Look, man, when
instead,
I die, if you put a fake sword at my grave, I'm gonna be very disappointed. I will haunt you.
I wouldn't put any sword on your
No,
grave,
I want a real sword.
but Nick Cage at the last minute reverses it and throws Lyle onto the sword. So he's like gasping for air and presumably dying.
But He'll
but
be back.
he's back. And it was the woman that shot him, right?
Yeah, Suzanne shoots him. Hmm.
Like 6 times.
Oh yeah,
And
she uses the
this,
whole
I'm
clip or
gonna be
whatever.
honest, tell me if you agree, but this might be one of the most dramatic death scenes ever in any of these Nick Cage movies we watched.
I don't know about that,
It is
but
so over the top. And like, I'm not complaining because seeing Dennis Hopper do such a dramatic death scene was incredible.
that's fair.
Honestly, it should be taught in film class, like in acting classes. Um, yeah. So we find out that from Nick Cage has figured out at this point that uh Lara Flynn Boyle's character is the one that shot the ranch hand.
Hmm.
Dun dun dun, another twist.
So many
Um,
twists.
but actually before this happens, they're trying to escape because the police are coming and they just had this shootout and fight and the caretaker called the police. And so they see a train conveniently. And so they try and go to this train, even though Nick Cage's knee is fucked up again at this point
Well, and he's been beat up by Lyle pretty bad. He's like bleeding on his face and stuff like that, but he's still able to outrun a train.
with a bad knee and everything. Yeah. In
Yeah.
fact, he can outrun the train easily, but Lara Flynn Boyle cannot. She has to
It's the
really
safe all
struggle.
over again.
She has to really struggle. Yeah. Thank God there was a man with his hand out there to save her. Um, but yeah, he gets on this like open train car, which apparently trains drive with open cabs. I don't
How
know.
else would people hop trains, Ryan?
It's true. And he grabs her and pulls her up there, and she pulls the gun on him immediately. And he's like, "You shot the ranch hand, didn't you?" She's like, "Well, yeah." Something like that. I can't remember the
I mean,
exact.
basically, because there has to be just continuous, twists throughout this movie. And she has a different gun now, by the way. She
Yeah,
has Lyle's gun now, for those
right.
who have been paying attention.
Yes, which he took the clip out of.
Hmm.
And which is a little weird because usually a gun has one chambered, even if the clip is not in it.
Typically.
But anyway, that we're not going to worry about that in this movie. The hitman probably didn't chamber around because he's the world's worst hitman.
Oh my God.
But
Or
yeah,
maybe
so
maybe the whole clip was empty. We don't know.
that's true. I mean, for all we know, he just carries around an unloaded gun. But yeah, he's like
It's like
after this
raising
confrontation,
Arizona. Oh my
he's
God.
like picky. Yeah, he takes the bag of money and this is the only money in the movie that's not in bundles. It's all loose in there. And
Well, for
he
this scene,
goes
of course.
for this scene, of course, yeah. And so he walks to the open side of the train and just starts dumping the money out of the train. And she's like, "Oh no, don't do that." And he throws her off the train.
Literally, yeah. I
To
thought she
which
was gonna like jump or something.
the cops are like 20 feet behind her, so they catch her immediately. But when he was dumping the money out, one that stack that was in a perfect bundle landed in the door of the train, which he
Yep.
takes.
So he gets back the
Um,
5 grand that he stole earlier in the movie.
and then he says adios Red Rock, and that's the end of the movie.
Adios, Red Rock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so in the beginning of the movie he ignored the money and was a good person, and by the end of the movie he is not any of those
he
things.
is
He's
not.
a
No,
bad person.
no, he's shoving women off of trains, stealing illegally obtained money from people, and
Yeah.
tried to kill
That being
Lyle with a
said,
sword.
I did enjoy this movie.
You know, yeah,
I'm being a little harsh, but like, because that's what we do with every movie, but I did enjoy this movie overall. I think in terms of, well, we'll find this out with the score, but in terms of these this kind of area of Nick Cage movies, it's not the top tier. It's not the bottom tier. It's kind of in the middle. I think it's on the taller end of the middle. But I do want to. Usually at this point we read some reviews because we don't want our opinions just to be this tiny little group of the two of us going in circles. We want to hear some reviews from some real fans and people that are not fans and see if they sway our opinions either way. Um. So, do you want me to start with the 10 out of 10s or the 1 out of 10s?
let's start low. We'll end
Okay.
high.
So I want to say this is the first movie since we've started doing this that has 0 1-star reviews on Amazon. or not Amazon, on IMDb. It also
Zero?
has 0 2-star reviews and 0 3-star reviews. The lowest review for this
Whoa.
movie is a 4-star review. So I ended up having to
That's
go to Amazon
that's
reviews.
impressive.
Um, so most of these are about the quality of the Blu-ray.
That's unfortunate. That's good to know
But
though, because I was gonna buy this one.
well, don't get me wrong, I love this movie. I discovered it in college 20 years ago and I've been unable to find it again, but the version sent came from Germany. Wrong zone from North American players, which should have been indicated before buying it. So there you go. And then another person says, does not play on my Blu-ray player, region B2 only. So
People
there you
need
go. Don't do that.
okay, that just little PSA out there for you physical media collectors. Pay attention to region coding on DVDs, Blu-rays, VHSs. 4K and Laserdisc, don't have to worry about.
We also have someone who reviewed it with 1 star and said, did not buy this.
What?
Okay.
Okay.
Also, someone said, who in their right mind is going to pay $30 for this Blu-ray? Ridiculous. Fair enough.
Yeah, so I will say, if you go out to Amazon, because I wanted to buy the movie, because it's streaming on the Internet Archives, but it's not on like an actual streaming platform. And so yeah, the DVD is $27 and the Blu-ray is 28 and up, depending on what listing you look at. So it isn't like the easiest movie to get at a reasonable price.
So there's really only 2 1-star reviews on Amazon that actually relate to the movie. So one of them was from Alex Doran, who said, maybe it's just me, but I found it really boring. I thought I would enjoy it considering it had my 2 favorite actors. I'm assuming Dennis Hopper and Nick Cage, but could be some of the other people too, Lara Flynn Boyle or whoever else.
Sure.
The other review is in German, so I did a translate on it. So
Cool.
this is the translation from Dennis R. The image is strongly grainy, restless, and full of dirt. This can be noticed at the beginning where the displayed titles tremble in front of them. I basically have nothing against image effects, but these are certainly not supposed to be effects. The film is from 1992 and could have come really great. Too bad. I was looking forward to a beautiful version of the film. This movie is really great.
Hmm.
So that's really all we get for 1-star reviews, which says a lot. 10-star reviews. Let's look at these. Um, this one is from Movie Man Dan, who I think I've read some of his reviews before on
Yeah,
this.
that sounds familiar.
I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's very wordy, but they don't make them like they used to, and I'm applying that cliched quote to a movie from 1993. This is truly original film, unlike most thrillers and westerns. This could be classified as a western because of its gorgeous southern landscapes, country music soundtrack, and modern cowboys. But as a traditional thriller, it has more twists and unpredictability than most. This movie stars Nicolas Cage during its heyday. Now he is one of Hollywood's biggest jokes. In the 80s and 90s, he was
Oh,
one of the best in the business. Right here is one of his best. He chose the right screenplay to star in. This was written in July 1st, 2020, so that's a little weird to say that he was one of Hollywood's biggest jokes, because I'm pretty sure Pig was out around that time.
I
And
mean,
he
Pig
was.
came out in 2020, so I don't
Oh,
think it was
okay.
out in January. But
Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah, so maybe he hadn't quite gotten that far yet. Um, Without knowing what will happen next, your eyes will be glued to the screen. Each reveal feels natural and rewarding. Nothing happens out of necessity because the Dahl brothers had a hankering for something else to happen and they needed to bridge a gap. A couple of clumsy moments don't dwindle the plot. It did not receive good test screenings, so it got put to HBO and other TV outlets. That's interesting. So it was never in
yeah.
theaters.
So, well, that's not entirely true. It did go into theaters in
Oh
a
yeah, a
really
year
limited.
later.
But it was a limited release thing because the original company that was supposed to do it, they backed out because the Dahl brothers, their first film flopped, and then eventually I think it was TriStar Columbia picked it up later. But yeah, it
Yeah,
was not a typical
this guy
release.
said word of mouth caused it to go back to theaters a year later, where it became one of 1994's hottest films. That's
Yeah, it was
interesting.
very successful on rental and like TV showings.
Let's see. All right. This one says, plain and simple, what if your attempt to make some cash turned out to put you in a life-threatening situation? That's what this movie is about. It's a simple story with some twists and turns done right. It doesn't drag along and keeps everything simple and easy. Good Sunday movie.
Hmm.
We have Nimbo here who says this is a sleeper. It defines Nicolas Cage. The plot is intricate and totally absorbing. The ending will blow you away. See it whenever you have the opportunity. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these say the same thing. Fred Loper says, "Shame this movie failed to make back even a quarter of its budget. It is everything the critics and public say it is a sharp, smart thriller." Yeah, I mean, everybody really seems to say good things about it in the IMDb reviews, and the fact that it doesn't have any one, two, or three-star reviews is pretty telling too.
Yeah, no, I agree. That is very interesting.
So now we would normally be rating the movies. You want to go
Yeah.
ahead and do that?
Let's do it. All right. So we have our Cage-O meter. And if you go to comingupcage.com, you can see our interactive Cage-O meter. You can check out all of our scores there. It does trail the show by a few episodes, just, to kind of maybe get you to listen a little bit. But you can go check that out. There are two scales on the Cage-O meter: overall quality and overall caginess. We do a 20-point scale because he has a lot of productions and we try to limit overlap as much as possible. 1 is low, 20 is high. Okay. So, quality for Red Rock West. I agree with you. Like, I enjoyed it, really for the most part. Some of the twists are silly. Some of it was fun. Finding out that the bartender is actually the sheriff was a kind of a very like chuckling moment and things like that. So I
For sure.
enjoyed the movie. It has some ridiculous moments in it, of course, and there's a few things that are more far-fetched than I would like. So I think I'm going to give this like I'm thinking an 11.
So way lower than IMDb says it is then.
I don't know though. It's like way lower. That's like a 5.5.
Right, versus a 7. So
Yeah.
that's like 15, 10-15% difference.
Well, like, we've seen some other Nick Cage movies recently that are rated like in the
Sure.
in the low sevens. I think this is the worst of that group.
Yeah, I mean, even Face Off, I think was like a 7.4 or something like
Seven,
that.
yeah,
So
7.4, 7.3, something like that. And I think Face Off is certainly better than this. I gave Face Off a 13.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I was thinking of 12 for this. So you and I were
okay,
not that far off. I still wanted to be in that like 8 to 12 range for like an average Nick Cage movie, but on the better end of that. This is one I would rewatch, even
yeah,
knowing the twists. I would rewatch this one. So yeah, I think the 11 to 12 range is a good spot for it.
yeah, very good. No, I agree. Now, caginess is a little tricky on this one. He's not, he doesn't really have his stereotypical caginess much
There
in
is some
this movie.
spots. There's a few spots.
There's a couple minor spots, but they're pretty limited. It's kind of like almost like proto caginess in a way, but he of course already had done Vampire's Kiss and a few others. So I don't know. I'm having a harder time figuring this one out. I think it's pretty low.
Yeah, I'd probably put it like a 4 or a 5. I mean, it's not
Okay.
high, but there are a few moments where he slips into it.
Okay. So
Um,
I was leaning 3, 4.
okay.
So,
Well, yeah, where do you want to go in there? I'll go with a 5.
okay, well, I'll do the 3 and then we'll just balance out to the
There
4
you
then.
go. That works.
I think that goes well. So that gives it a 11 and a half on quality and a 4 on caginess. So, this is kind of a rare movie that's good with the low caginess, but not like great with the low caginess. Because a lot of his low cagey movies are really good, like Pig and Adaptation. Um,
Right.
and a lot of his other, you know, the lower quality films tend to either be like they have some like crazy caginess sometimes, and those are fun for their own reasons. But yeah, I think this is fair. All right, well, it is time to add a new movie to the Wheel O Cage. So we spin our Wheel O Cage to find out which Nicolas Cage movie we watch next on the show. We keep a handful of movies on that wheel, but not everything. So once we watch a movie, we have to replace it. So joining the Wheel O Cage and replacing Red Rock West will be the movie Gunslingers, which is pretty new, if I remember correctly. I think that's the Heather Graham movie. Um, and I don't think Nick's going to be in that very much, but I don't know that that's going to be our next movie because you'll have to watch the Wheel O Cage to find out which Nicolas Cage movie is next. Of course, you can watch the Wheel O Cage, you can watch Cage O Bingo, and you can watch our show. You can go to comingofcage.com for all of our links. You can subscribe to the podcast on your app of choice. You can watch all of our video content on the Derrico Studios YouTube channel. We also post on various social media outlets, so check out all of that cool stuff. Comingofcage.com. Ryan, anything else for Red Rock West?
Can you insert just like 5 seconds of the sign right here?
Adios, Red Rock. Adios.